What is going on? Chances are if you clicked on this video, you just bought a house. If so, congrats. Or you're in the phase of preparing to buy a house, which is also very exciting. And of course, when you actually become a homeowner, this takes place once you actually bought the house and made your decision. So in today's video, I'm going to be going over the top 10 things that you can kind of get prepared for and should be aware of on problems that could come up in your first year of home ownership, and kind of the things you should at least be aware of to be ready if something goes wrong. So let's dive into that right now. Tip number one is to familiarize yourself with your systems. Know where your HVAC stuff is. Know what kind of heat you have. Do you heat it with oil or gas? Do you know where your actual electrical panel is? Do you know how to reset all the circuits? Do you know just the basics of stuff and kind of know where it is? So either maybe you have to call the plumber or you have to call the HVAC guy and he could walk you through some steps. Know where it is so you can at least help a little bit out instead of having to spend that money right away and have someone come out and fix your stuff. If something goes wrong, know where it is. Tip number two is to create a maintenance schedule. Now this one kind of goes along the lines as the first one of knowing where your systems is, but this is actually creating a system that you're going to want to at least do some maintenance on it. Yearly things that are simple, like cleaning your gutters or replacing air filters on certain things in your house, like certain heating systems. All these little things that should be done, and a lot of the stuff that that little bit of preventative maintenance will help in the long run. Just like if you have a car, if you keep up with the oil changes and the brake jobs and the tire rotations, chances are your car is going to be in better shape and last you longer. And now this is also a time that you can learn about energy saving tips. If you live in New Hampshire like I do in the winter, you kind of want to spend as much, or you want to spend as little as you can on heat. So if you have old houses, I remember one thing that we used to do was put the plastic film over the windows. The reason I point it here is because it's in a window, but it was plastic film to go basically saran wrap on the inside of your window so that it would keep the heat from coming in, because a lot of those old single pane windows that I grew up in just would not keep heat in the house. So it's stuff like that. Just create a maintenance schedule and have these things that maybe you do certain things each winter to prepare for the cold, and of course you take it out after winter, but it's just those yearly things. Tip number three is kind of an old school one. It's know your neighbors. Kind of familiarize yourself with your neighborhood. And one big part about this now, since we're on such a social network and such a screen-based society now, is join some Facebook groups that is in your town or your city, so you can kind of know the happenings and kind of stay up to date with the community. I still think it's great to go out and actually introduce yourself to your neighbors in real life, because I feel like that just doesn't happen nowadays. Again, in that screen-based society, we've kind of become less accustomed to that, where people actually welcome you into the neighborhood. So just go say hi, introduce yourself, just in case you ever need something. Maybe they can lend a helping hand. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe button, as it does help out the channel greatly. And back to the video. Tip number four, make a budget and stick to it. Now this one I kind of harp on sometimes with my home buyers, is basically if you're spending all your savings to get into the house, chances are you should wait a little bit before you buy the house, because when you're a homeowner, again, it's your house now. You are in charge of it. So if something goes wrong, you can't just call up a landlord and be like, hey, this needs to get fixed. You need to fix it. So if you have zero savings, zero budget for any of these maintenance things that can come up, or the emergency budgets that you need in case a heating system goes or anything like that, you're going to want it in there. So make sure you have a budget, stick to it, and have some type of savings so that you just don't go into credit card debt, lose your head, and get mad when something goes wrong, because something probably will go wrong. Tip number five is to protect your investment. Of course, if you have a loan on your house, you're going to have home insurance. If you don't, you should probably get home insurance, again, just so that you're actually insuring your property against certain things. And maybe you bought a home warranty when you bought your house, so make sure you kind of, if you can utilize it where it is necessary, and don't forget about it, because I feel like that's something that happens. Even in cars, you buy a warranty, something goes wrong, you fix it, and then you're like, oh, I had a warranty for that. Tip number seven is to be prepared for emergencies. Now I know this one sounds a little cheesy, and I think it is a little cheesy, but it's always good to have like a first aid kit, fire extinguisher, maybe a ladder on some of the higher levels to get out of the windows in case anything happens, a flashlight in case the power goes out. Again, this is a new house. It's not something that you're used to. So even if the power goes out, maybe you want to know you have your specific things in certain areas. But again, if something major happens, a house fire or anything like that, you want to have your emergencies a little bit planned out. Like, think about this a little proactively and what you would do in certain situations. Again, fire extinguishers are always great to have on hand. This is coming for a kid that had a house fire as a kid. I know how it goes. Well, we didn't save the house. The house went. But that's besides the point. Be prepared for emergencies. You never know when they can happen. And then also another little thing is know your emergency numbers in your area, because maybe you just moved to a new area. You want to know who to call and how to call them. Number 8's kind of a short little one, and this could go around with the yearly maintenance type deal, but it's more just around insects and pests. Just have a either like system that you do where you spray for hornets in the summer, you set mouse traps maybe in the fall or stuff like that, so you can prevent the insects from actually coming. Maybe you around our area, we have certain people that, well, I know everyone has them, the pest control people, but you bring them out and they take care of all your pest maintenance. They'll put up the preventative traps to keep bugs out of your house, all that stuff. It's good to have so that you don't have to have an infestation of mice or squirrels in your attic or stuff eating at your wood. It's good to have. So that's one thing that kind of gets slipped by your mind, is the pests and the animals that can come inside that you don't want inside. So make sure you keep that on your mind. Tip number 9 kind of has to do with some pests and some outdoors, is keep up with your landscaping, however you want to do it. Again, this one probably isn't going to be like something that'll cause you to have a problem, but again, you'll want to have like curb appeal. You want to actually have stuff planned out for the winter. Are you going to get it plowed? Are you going to shovel? How are you going to remove snow? Maybe how are you going to remove trash? All the stuff that actually happens outside. Your leaf pickup. Where I am in Keene, New Hampshire, they have a certain day that they come out. You basically rake all your leaves out onto the sidewalk / street, and then they come up and they take it all away for you. So know those types of things. Again, that's why you're going to want to join some community Facebook pages to kind of stay in the loop with all this stuff, because nowadays that's kind of where you hear about it. So start joining all those to stay in the loop. And tip number 10 is a fun one. This one, again, doesn't really have to do a ton with like if something wrong happens, but you just bought a house. It's your house. Your house. Do whatever you want. Make it feel homey. Make it feel like you. Again, if you, as you can see with mine, well, it's kind of hard to tell with my blue light that I have going on here, but these are gray walls. I paint everything gray and white. The reason being is I'm a landlord, and these units that I live in, I rent out once I move and buy another property. So I keep it nice and basic, but it's your house. Paint it whatever color you want. Do whatever decorations you want. Who cares? But just know that when the time comes, if you sell and if you move, you might have to kind of take that back, paint it something boring so that it can sell on the market a little bit better. But since you're there, go wild, have fun. So that's it for the top 10 tips. Again, a lot of these were kind of just like those basic things that kind of slip your mind when you go buy a house. When you're buying a house, that's all you're thinking about, is buying a house. Of course, you're thinking about what paint colors you're going to do, how you're going to set up your rooms, but you don't really actually think about how you're going to take care of the building and the very expensive structure that you just bought and most likely went into 30 years of debt for. So you want to make sure that you have these kind of top of mind so that you do take all these preventative measures so that the house lasts. Because you can see even just simple stuff like cleaning your house weekly or bi-weekly will make such a big difference, because it's when these people just, you get comfortable in your house and you just keep putting off all this little stuff, and then that little stuff like cleaning every couple weeks turns into, oh, I don't take care of my yard's overgrown, this and that, and then you get one of those gross looking houses in the neighborhood that nobody wants to look at. So don't become that homeowner. Take care of your house. Make it last, make it desirable, and make it homey, because it's your house. So I hope you enjoyed this little video. I know it was short and I know it was quick, but I think it'll help a lot of those new homeowners that you just became, or maybe you're looking. And if you're still looking and have any questions or tips, feel free to leave them down in the comments below, but I will catch you guys next week.